Oh, hello, everyone, and welcome to C-Suite Talks. We speak with industry leaders, introducing you to some of the most interesting people and businesses today. We're focused on women, money, and power, as well as diversity in all areas, of course. And I am Beth Hilbing, co-CEO of C-Suite, along with...
I am Dianne Gubin, co-CEO, along with Beth. And this week, we are just so happy to be speaking with Rita Kakati-Shah. She is the founder and CEO of UMA. That's UMA, UMA. Rita Kakati-Shah is an award-winning gender diversity, inclusion, and career strategist, as well as a speaker, author, and advisor to Fortune 500 companies. She is the founder and CEO of UMA, an international platform that partners with organizations to attract, retain, and develop women and minorities in the workforce through empowering confidence, inspiring success, and building leadership and resilience. Prior to UMA, Rita led business development globally in CNS healthcare. She began her career at Goldman Sachs in London, where she was awarded the prestigious Excellence in Citizenship and Diversity Award. She is also a distinguished alumna of King's College London and a triple Stevie Awards for Women in Business winner, a judge for the Middle East Awards, and recipient of several international awards in recognition for her significant contributions and leadership to furthering gender equality, diversity, and inclusion around the world. Welcome, Rita. We're so happy to have you with us today, and thank you to our listeners.
Thank you so much for having me, ladies. It's such a pleasure and an honor to be here.
Thank you, Rita, so much. So you have such a diverse background, and I can't wait for our listeners and us to learn more about you. I've been excited to do this for a while. So walk us kind of through your journey, and you have a diverse background. Just walk us through a journey of you and how you became an entrepreneur and where you are today.
Right, because I don't think any of us have grown up going, hi, I'm going to go start my business, right? It just kind of happens. So tell us.
Yeah, so you can probably tell from my accent, I'm not from the States. I'm from the UK, born and brought up in London. My family come from northeast India, a state called Assam, a really gorgeous, beautiful state called Assam. And they settled in the UK many years ago. So I was born and bred Londoner. I started my career actually in finance, as you mentioned. And I was one of very few women, the only one on my team at the time, one of very few women on the trading floor. So I think I kind of got into what we now call diversity and inclusion issues and sort of, women empowerment and women's forum issues back when it wasn't a thing. This was in the early 2000s, just by asking questions and being a connector and a people person. So just very much about like, okay, where are the other female colleagues, and went on the training program where it was pretty 50-50 split across different divisions at firm. So it was just mainly connecting folks and trying to get people together and asking those questions. So that's really how I kind of got into it and helped set up at the time, women's network and different professional networks for different minority groups at the firm. And then fast forward 10 years, I was at the firm for a decade. I got a call by an ex-colleague of mine who was actually at King's College London and the former head of neurology psychiatry at the Institute of Psychiatry and Neurology at King's College London, and said, hey, Rita, I'm setting up a clinical development site in the US, in Delaware. Will you help me? My first question is, what's Delaware? I had no idea. I was like, is this a new kind of product or something? What do I do with this? So long story short, that's how I got my feet wet in something completely different. It was in the area of business development, which I loved and knew nothing about officially until I did it. And I absolutely loved this. I got to travel around the world, meet people from different backgrounds, where I was used to coming from a corporate background where your I's are dotted and T's are crossed all the time, to the extreme opposite end of that, setting something up from new. There were no policies and procedures at all. So that was something to get my teeth stuck into, kind of how do you construct something that I took for granted for so long? And I loved it. Those travels is what brought me to New York, where I ended up settling and got married, have 2 kids now who are 9 and 11 now. And when they were very young, I took around 3.5, 4 years off to raise them and realized that, gosh, I took my own mum for granted for all these years, that it was probably the hardest job, quote unquote, that I'd ever done. Not only was I working 24/7, you can never take a sick day, and the skills I was picking up, I would tell people all the time that I thought I could communicate. I, put together a PowerPoint presentation or stand up in front of a room full of people until I became a mom and realized that, gosh, I barely scratched the surface. Communications is so much just about empathy and listening and just being able just to watch and observe. When babies are young, they can't talk, they cry, and you have to figure out what's going on. And that taught me so much. That and just having patience. And I joke all the time that if you can negotiate with a toddler or later on with a teenager, take that to your next boardroom meeting or interview, right? That conviction. So it was all of these things. And then when I was ready to re-explore, what do I want to do now when the kids are a little bit older? I thought, should I go back to finance? Would it be along healthcare? And then I noticed that the questions I was getting from former colleagues of mine were not what I was expecting. Very kind of questions like, well, Rita, you out of everyone knows there's no room for quitters. You have to be kind of in it to win it. And I thought, gosh, there's no one more in it to win it than me. But it was almost like a stereotype because I'd taken that proverbial time off to raise my children. I'd chosen a different path. I didn't quit my, job. I'd chosen to do something else. It was very much of was I ambitious anymore? Things like that. And then I realized that my new friend circle all of a sudden had the exact same stories I was now going through. And that's really what led initially to the birth of UMA, a platform for women and other minority groups to kind of feel that level of empowerment. How do we get on our feet so people can actually understand and believe this is what we have to offer? 8 years on now, it's really morphed into so much more than that in terms of, we do a lot of, career consulting, a lot of strategic consultancies with companies to kind of actually figure out what pieces of the puzzle are missing that we can actually help with to kind of help them shape up to make it a better work environment for everyone. So entails a lot of policy forum talks, a lot of guest lecturing at universities as well to kind of build curriculum. It's a very holistic way to do that. And that's sort of what led to my journey of becoming an entrepreneur, because I figured this isn't happening. I'm going to do it.
And making the world
Good
a better
for you.
place. So UMA, I read it, but tell our listeners, what does UMA mean?
Great question. I always forget to explain what it means. So I wanted to think of a name that was short and sweet, that had meaning. And in Hinduism, Uma is a goddess. I call her the goddess of go-getting because she is a mother. She's a sibling. She's a wife. She depicts every role at some point that you're going to have or come across in your life. But she's full of power, full of confidence, full of determination. So I figured short and sweet name, so much meaning, and it stands for that. And that's where Uma came from.
Wow.
Fabulous.
Terrific. And then again, you've done this journey and you've become an entrepreneur and now you're on corporate boards, right? So you went to the C-suite. Tell us about going into the C-suite and then how you went into board work.
Yeah. So I guess it all just came, I think when I was starting my career back in the day, I could not have predicted any of this. And I tell future generations the same thing, that don't always overplan. See where things come out, because you don't know where you can add value or where your interest even lies, because things change all the time, right? So I think it was more naturally, working with companies, becoming, the leader of a company myself, getting staff members, actually growing things, having to pay payroll and things like that, that you kind of have a different aspect on how things are done. But it's through the consultancy process, a lot of the companies I worked with would sort of extend the invitation and say, look, we're building up a board, or we're doing this. Would you like to explore this or come on board? So it, mixture of non-profit boards, advisory councils, some for-profit as well. And I think it was a natural trajectory of what am I interested in? Where can I add value? And sort of what are gaps that are missing for what I've done in my life so far that sort of go in the same path. But love what I do because it makes a difference. It's impact driven. You are helping to shape things. You're helping to change future decision-making powers. I think it's great.
Was it hard to get on the board positions, or what was your journey there?
I think initially I came across nonprofit board positions initially, and I think I've been in this situation where I've been invited to explore a board. So it's been more like, come and see what we do a little bit here, get an understanding for what's going on here, and then let's see potentially where we could fit in. Oh, and by the way, did you know that we've had board member roll off or something. Would you be interested? So it's sort of fallen in the right place at the right time. What's been challenging, I think, is deciding, is this the right board for me? Because and this happens with anything in life, when you're knocking on doors, when I started as an entrepreneur, I joked that my nickname was Rudolph because of the amount of doors that would be closed in my face.
Oh, yeah.
But as you get more established, as you get your clients, then it sort of starts to roll. And then you get to a stage where you're not knocking on doors, folks are knocking on your door. And you have to now get in the position of doing it the other way around. So actually, is this exactly what I'm thinking? It's the same with the boards. First, you're thinking, actually, let me explore this, let me explore that. And then folks
want me on your board. I know.
Exactly, because people see you on a website, and because I do things in different countries, so people see you on a website or they do a Google search and see something, so they naturally reach out. So you have to think about, is this something that actually not just, can I fit this in? Because you've got to be able to kind of fit this in, but does it help and go in the direction they want, or do they just want it because of your name or a reputation or something? How is this helping in all directions? So I think it can be hard. It depends on where I think I can add value, but I think now it's flipped into the other way, where it's folks now asking questions, and it's more like being mindful about what advice to give and when, I think.
Okay, great. Well, I know that you work in areas of impact. Can you give us an example or two of the type of changes you feel that your work has made to society as a whole?
Right, because definitely.
That's a great question. Thanks so much. So recently, UMA's been around for almost 8 years now, but I would say recently, kind of during the pandemic, so around 2021-ish, we started setting up a separate endeavor for UMA called UMA Global, which was actually a philanthropic endeavor specifically focused on, initially, the area of Assam in the northeast of India. So we're looking at a rural part of the world. We're looking at leadership development. We're looking at empowering women and youth over there. Because it doesn't really exist. Things that we take for granted, I've seen over here in education, what we talk about for what is even leadership skills, the way education is taught, it's very, very different style in certain parts of the world. So we're starting over there, and we started in 2021. We really, really kicked off in 23, 24, and now we're working with about 24 colleges around northeast India. By colleges, I mean anyone who's sort of like a bachelor's and a master's level, and really making a difference. Folks come to us afterwards and they understand, or they feel like they can actually take a stance in their life. It hasn't been dictated to them. They feel what we call confident. They can present better, and seeing the difference and seeing them take leadership positions where they wouldn't have done it before means so much. I think the impact we're creating is inherent just by seeing what's going on and sort of making waves, I think.
Wow, that sounds like a full-time job in itself, right?
Yeah, it takes. So we have to try and segregate. Quite often I'm working across multiple time zones, even when I'm not traveling. So it's just a matter of trying to fix everything up, fit it all in. But yes, it's especially when you start anything, I think it is quite hands-on. But yeah, it's very meaningful, and that's what keeps it motivated and going.
Well, tell us a little bit about your book, The Goddess of Go-Getting. It's reached international bestseller status. How did you prepare for it? What was tell us just about the book.
Yeah,
introduce the audience to it.
Congratulations, Rita.
Oh, thank you so much. That was not the plan initially when I started writing. I've got a couple of examples actually behind me on my shelf. But so how the book started, again, it was a pandemic project. I had thoughts to get down. I'd always, co-authored books or research papers in the past before that, but I thought I want to get my own thing down. And initially I just started to write. And when I started to write, I thought, let me just write a business book, for folks, for future leaders out there. But as I started to write my business book, I couldn't not go into personal examples of backgrounds, or to have some backstory about each of my talking points, whether it was on leadership or confidence, or just presenting and just losing confidence and finding your inner self. So the things that I would do, I thought, oh gosh, it's not a business, but this is more of a memoir. And in the professional world out there, you have to select a genre and you have to stick with it. And that's what was my difficulty at that point. Like, what do I stick with now? Because it's neither this or the other. Then I thought, you know what, forget all that. I'm not going to bother with trying to stick myself in one part of the plug just because that's what you do. Let it be a business book, let it be a memoir, let it be something that fits across multiculturalism as well, because that's exactly what it is. and see who reads it, because it's supposed to help people. It's meant to be a book that anyone can pick up, whether you are male, female, or however you identify, whatever your background is, where you come from, no matter what part of the world. It's supposed to be a book that people can pick up and they read and think, I get that, or I've been through that, and aha, let me try that out. But I didn't realize that. I just wrote it because I had all of these thoughts from all of my experience and meeting people and teaching in the past. But yeah, in the first week itself, locally on Amazon, and then soon within the next month, as folks around the world started to kind of get it as well, it kind of went into the international status, which I had no idea about, but there we go. And then, through work and things like that, through different speaking engagements, folks would order the books, and it got quite popular there, and I would be asked to speak about it as well. So yeah, that was my story with the Goddess of Go-Getting.
I love it. I love it. So what's on the horizon next for Rita? I mean, you're so accomplished. You've built so much. Is it filling in what you have? Are there new things that you're looking to take on?
It's a great question. I mean, I'm always, trying to get my fingers in different sort of pies, so to speak. So I would never, ever fix on what the future horizon looks like, because it's always an open book for me. I would love to continue on the projects I'm doing, growing UMA, helping folks locally, doing more with the academic development, UMA Global, do a lot more board work as well, sort of, give back to the community, and also help out some of the other kind of boards out there as well. So let's see how it goes. I'm always getting contacted as well about sort of advising on voluntary projects as well. So let's see. I mean, I love mentoring. So folks are always reaching out about that too. So I would say just keep doing what I'm doing. I have started to pick up painting again. That was a hobby that I always had, that I literally thought, I'll come to it then, but you got to find time. And I've started to find time again.
That's great.
Is I'm carving it out, so to do that. So.
And your kids, I hope, are painting with you.
That's the point, exactly, because it's summer and this is where we're all getting together on it. So they're kind of developing their love, my love, through their eyes, kind of thing. So they're taking part as much as I am in this new hobby, getting it set up again.
Right. Any words of wisdom you can share with our audience, because you're so accomplished. Out of all the books and the research and the articles, what message would you like to share with the C-suite audience?
Oh gosh, I've always got so many words to share, but I think if I were to just capture it in a few words, our tagline at UMA is be bold, be you, be UMA. And I want to end with that, because that is really what captures being who you are, and don't ever forget who you are as a person, and just going with it, because that's what this is all about.
That's wonderful. Thank you so much for being with us today, Rita. How can people find you? What's the easiest way to find you?
Oh gosh, so I'm on LinkedIn, Rita Kakati-Shah, social media, kind of Instagram and Facebook as well, on X as well. Be Bold, Be UMA, that's our company tagline, just at Be Bold, Be UMA, website, beboldbeuma.com. Yeah, I'll be around.
Terrific. So thank you, Rita Kakati-Shah, founder and CEO of UMA, and also author of the #1 best-selling book, The Goddess of Go-Getting, Your Guide to Confidence, Leadership, and Workplace Success. Thank you for being here, Rita. Thank you to our listeners. And of course, thank you to our sponsors. Beth, you want me to take our sponsor? Thank you.
Sure, go ahead.
Great.
Take us home.
City National Bank. Oh my gosh, we appreciate you so much. All of our sponsors: City National Bank, Uncle Nearest, Nutanix, the software company, Allspring Global Investments, Co-Brands, and C-Suite Executive Search. Hiring for your team, call C-Suite Search, please. And thank you for listening. Hit the subscribe button anywhere, Apple, Spotify, anywhere you find your podcast. Leave us a review, please. We appreciate that very much. And follow us on social media, LinkedIn, Twitter, Instagram, etc. And we do love hearing from you. Send us an email. Actually, send Beth an email. So it's Beth at csweet.org.
Thank you again, Rita. Have a great day, everyone. Bye-bye.
Thanks so much.